Indonesia. 17,000 islands, hundreds of ethnic groups. Every major maritime trade route in history passed through here. Indian Ocean spice merchants centuries before colonial ships arrived. Chinese traders embedded in coastal cities before anyone was recording names. The Dutch for 350 years after that. The world built its spice economy around what grew here. These are 10 foods born here. Tempeh. Tempeh soybeans arrived in Java through Chinese trade. Every civilization that received them made tofu or soy sauce. Java did something else. Cooks here developed a fungal fermentation process using Rhizopus oligosporus, a mold that thrives specifically in the humidity and temperature conditions of this region, and produced something structurally different from anything the Chinese or Japanese ever made from the same bean. Not a paste, not a liquid. A solid, protein-dense cake with a flavor profile fermentation created from scratch. Rhizopus didn't come from a laboratory. It came from sea hibiscus, leaves that Javanese cooks had always used to wrap food. Soybeans were the ingredient every civilization shared. What Java built from them existed nowhere else before it existed here. Rendang. Rendang is a Minangkabau creation from West Sumatra that the rest of the world calls a curry and is wrong. The spices that moved through Sumatran ports for centuries, coriander, turmeric, galangal, lemongrass, were absorbed into a cooking method no outside tradition developed in quite this form. The liquid is cooked out entirely, not reduced, not thickened, eliminated. What remains is caramelized spice-coating dry meat, a preservation technique built for a culture that traveled long distances without refrigeration. The fat renders, the moisture leaves, the spice penetrates to the center. Rendang lasts weeks because it was designed to. Indian spice traditions touched Sumatra. Malay cooking exists beside it. Neither produced this result from these ingredients. The Minangkabau built something the surrounding traditions, with the same spices available, never arrived at. Satay. Satay is the skewered meat preparation that Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore all claim, and every version traces back to Java. Javanese and Madurese street vendors in the early 19th century observed skewered meat techniques from Arab, Indian, and Chinese traders passing through and built something none of those sources contained. A peanut sauce. A kecap manis glaze. Thick, palm sugar sweetened soy sauce developed in Java specifically. A narrow charcoal grill built for skewers and nothing else. The traders brought the idea of meat on fire. Java built the preparation around it that the region then copied. The word satay is Javanese. The dish spread outward from this archipelago. That direction, outward not inward, is the only evidence needed. There's still a whole world out there we haven't explored yet. So, if you want to see where we go next, make sure you subscribe. And tell me in the comments where we should travel next. Gado-gado. Gado-gado is a peanut sauce salad built around a sauce that defines it entirely. Peanuts arrived in Java from South America via Portuguese and Spanish trade routes. Every other Southeast Asian cuisine that received them used peanuts as garnish or accent. Java built a sauce, cooked, blended, spiced with galangal and kenkur, sweetened with palm sugar, thinned with water, and poured it over a specific assembly of boiled vegetables, tofu, tempeh, and compressed rice cake. The peanut is the same ingredient the whole region received. The sauce is not. Same raw material, entirely different construction. That gap between what an ingredient is and what a kitchen decides to build from it is where gado-gado lives. Pempek. Pempek is a Palembang creation that absorbed Chinese technique and produced something the Chinese never made. The Hokkien merchant community embedded in Palembang, South Sumatra, brought fish cake traditions with them. The method was similar: fish, binding agent, heat. Palembang cooks took that method, replaced the protein base with tenggiri, Spanish mackerel pulled from local waters, developed a tapioca binder that Chinese preparations never used, and paired the result with kuka, a sour, sweet, spicy vinegar dipping sauce with no equivalent in the tradition that supplied the technique. the Chinese contribution is the method. Everything built around it is palembang. The dish became something the originating tradition would not recognize. That distance between source and result is the measure of what palembang made. Rawon. Rawon is a black beef soup, and the thing that makes it black grows in the forests of East Java and nowhere else in culinary use. Keluak, the nut of the Pangium edule tree, is toxic when raw. East Javanese cooks developed a fermentation process to neutralize it over weeks, then used the resulting paste as the primary flavoring agent of a beef broth. The black color is the keluak, not charcoal, not ink. A fermented nut that required generations of accumulated knowledge to make edible. Dutch colonial botanists documented the tree. They did not document a recipe because the recipe was not theirs to document. The toxicity of the raw ingredient proves the point. That knowledge, what to do with a poisonous nut, developed here and was carried here alone. Nasi goreng. Nasi goreng is fried rice in the same way that a violin is a stringed instrument, technically accurate and almost entirely beside the point. The technique of frying leftover rice is ancient and appears across Asia. What Indonesia added was kecap manis, thick palm sugar sweetened soy sauce developed in Java, shrimp paste, and a specific wok timing that produces a caramelized smoky result that Chinese, Thai, and Japanese fried rice traditions do not arrive at. Kecap manis is the dividing line. It does not exist in Chinese cooking. It does not exist in Thai cooking. Chinese traders brought soy sauce to Java. Java transformed it with palm sugar and built something the source tradition never made. The technique is shared. The dish is not. Soto. Soto is not one dish. It is a system, and the system is Indonesian. Every major region of Indonesia has its own version. Soto Betawi uses coconut milk and beef offal. Soto ayam is clear and turmeric yellow, built around chicken. Soto Madura uses koya, powdered prawn cracker, stirred in at the table by the person eating it. The variations are not corruptions of one original. They are a framework, spiced broth, protein, aromatics, that each region completed with what it grows and what it knows. Chinese broth traditions touched Soto's development. Indian spice influence touched it too. Neither produced this range of outcomes. The Indonesian archipelago did because hundreds of ethnic groups applied the same structure to entirely different local ingredients and arrived at something different every time. Klepon. Klepon is a rice cake that survived 350 years of Dutch colonial rule completely unchanged and was declared un-Islamic by an Indonesian cleric in 2020, which says more about what it means to people than any history book does. Palm sugar, glutinous rice, and pandan, all indigenous to this archipelago, all in use centuries before any colonial ship arrived. The Dutch colonized Indonesian agriculture systematically, replacing food crops with export commodities. Klepon survived because it required nothing they controlled. The 2020 controversy, a viral post calling Klepon incompatible with Islamic values, produced national outrage that functioned as a defense of identity, not just preference. A rice cake becoming a political flashpoint is a measure of what it means to people. Colonial rule could not remove it. A fatwa could not either. Bakso. Bakso is a meatball that arrived from China and became something China would not recognize. Hokkien and Teochew Chinese immigrants brought fish and meatball traditions to Java. The result in Indonesia, beef meatballs with a springy texture achieved through tapioca, served in a clear broth with noodles, tofu, and fried shallots, shares a structural ancestor with those preparations and shares almost nothing else. The texture is different, the broth is different, the accompaniments are different. The street cart culture that grew around bakso, vendors moving through neighborhoods announcing themselves with a specific two-tone knock, a sound so embedded in daily life that Indonesians who grew up hearing it recognize it immediately, is entirely Indonesian. The Chinese gave the method. Indonesia gave it an identity so complete that the origin became invisible. Indonesia has been described as a place where trade routes met. That framing misses the point. Trade routes brought soybeans. Java built tempeh. They brought peanuts. Java built gado-gado. the spice trade made Indonesia legible to the outside world. What the outside world never fully mapped was what these islands were building while the ships were loading.